welcome back to Smashing Heads Podcast. This is going to be our final podcast for the Gauntlet 2, episodes 16 and 17, which is the final, which is a weird final, you know, in all things considered these days. My name is Zach, and I'm joined by my wife, Hannah.
Hey, hey, hey.
My best friend, Jake.
How's everybody doing tonight? I'm going to be honest with you. I definitely watched these 2 episodes, but it's been so long, I can't find my notes.
Oh,
cool.
I didn't know you'd because we had postponed recording for the All-Stars 3 breakdown recap. So they're just gone?
They got to be in here somewhere.
I make a new note every time
I do too.
we do it. It's episode 16 and 17, if that helps.
Yeah.
I have one long note.
I mean, I remember the general layout of the episode.
It's got to be between the 11th of April and now, because the last one we did was on the 11th, and then we recorded the All-Stars thing sometime last week. So just in that 2-week span. It's fine.
It's fine.
We'll get through it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we are kind of shifting into All-Stars mode, which starts, 11 days from now? 12 days from now? I don't know.
I can't do that math.
Maybe even a little bit more than that, but it's less than 2 weeks. And I know normally on the top end of the show, we kind of just air our grievances.
Screw around.
Yeah, we don't have time to do that today, honestly. Jake and I are in a doubles tennis tournament.
1-0.
1-0 so far. And we were very outmatched skill. These are guys who had been playing a long time.
Well, it's like you said, you can't keep good men down.
That's right. So we won the first one. We have our second one tonight, and we were supposed to play at 7:30. Our initial opponent got sick, and so now we're playing at 7, which pushed everything. We were already on a time crunch today, and then Jake got behind a wreck on the way here, which made it even later to get here, and so we're up against the clock. We got under an hour, roughly.
We're up against the universe.
Yeah, because we got to go and warm up and get things. My back's kind of recovered from. The
You
last
could
time
also
we played.
say we're kind of up against the wall.
That's what Under Oath said
Yeah,
one time.
they did.
When they were reinventing your exit.
Yeah, my personal exit. Yeah. This doesn't have anything to do with Under Oath, and this is for nobody in particular. Back in that era, August Burns Red, right? Still a huge band. Mm-hmm. I really, really liked that first album. And
Thrill
then,
Seeker?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I remember the next one coming out, and I was like, I don't like this. And
Messengers.
I didn't know what it was, and I'd heard a handful of songs since then throughout the years, because that came out when we were in high school. And I finally went back a few months ago and listened to Thrill Seekers again, and I was like, I still really like this. And then I went back and listened to the next album, and I was like, I don't like this at all.
Still.
What happened? They changed vocalists.
They did change vocalists. His name's Jake, oddly enough.
Well, the first vocalist is so much, and just songwriter in general, is so much better. And I didn't know at the time that they changed vocalists. I was just like, what happened? Because it's not connecting, but it's 100% that. So I still think, for what it is, like that genre, like Thrill Seeker's solid.
Yeah.
Where did the original vocalist go? He
didn't do any. I looked it up on Wikipedia. He doesn't really do anything now.
Usually when that happens, it's because something's happened in the band and whoever leaves has gone on to a different band.
A lot of times, but this one is just kind of like he just, I don't know if they blew up too quick and he couldn't commit to touring and all that stuff. And he just like, I got to bow out.
What a shame.
Yeah, but yeah, that album, if anyone's wondering, that album from 2005 is good. So,
There's a lot of music from the straight bangers.
I mean, that's Jake and I's wheelhouse.
It is. That's where we came into our own.
Yeah, for sure.
That's Paramore's first album.
They would not even be in my list of things.
But that album still, it changed my life and it still affects me today. Much like the gospel, you'd say.
Wow.
Well, we got to get into episode 16, and again, Jake, you can just jump in as you feel necessary, because I don't know
I'm ready to talk about it,
Okay.
but my notes are gone. I'm gonna be honest with you, not a lot to talk about, especially with the finale. So
yeah. Arguably one of the most, and now
what a stupid.
I've said it a few times as we've gotten closer to the end of the season. I was like, I don't think I ever finished this season. I know I didn't finish this season now.
Yeah, what a
Very flawed idea.
It was very underwhelming because it happened, and then I was like, "Is that it?"
There wasn't anything to be whelmed by.
Yeah. Have you? How often do you get whelmed?
A couple of days a week.
I've only been overwhelmed or underwhelmed. I don't think I've ever just been whelmed.
Do you think anybody's ever said that? That whelms me.
Yeah. I don't know what that means.
I'm gonna start trying to be more cognizant of it, of when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel underwhelmed, and try and find a happy medium and be more mindful to when I might be just whelmed.
Whelm just means engulf, submerge, or bury.
So the next time Zach...
Or an act or instance of flowing or heaping up abundantly, a surge.
So Zach's been cooking you these HelloFresh meals, right?
People also ask, can you feel whelmed? Click on that.
Both overwhelm and underwhelm come from the older word whelm. Whelm can mean to submerge, or it can be a synonym for overwhelm. Someone can feel whelmed with a happy feeling, for example.
So next time he fixes you a HelloFresh meal, it's not anything over the top. It's also not bad. You can let him know, Zach, I feel pretty whelmed by that.
Most of the HelloFresh meals are really, really good.
We don't have time to get into it, but we did our first couple HelloFresh meals this week.
Oh, did you?
What'd you get?
We'll talk. We'll have to talk about it on other pod.
He made me dinner last night, and it's probably one of my favorites. Yeah. And it was like Christmas in April. It was great. I loved it.
So anyway, let's jump into this. Keena is worried off the bat that Randy's going to go into the Gauntlet if
what's new
if the rookie team loses.
All right, so I don't know how. Again, I don't have my notes, but I know at one point during this episode, I think it was Alton referred to him as a tank.
Yes, that was my next note. Because they're talking about it, and I think Keena realizes at this point, if they do lose the next daily challenge, Alton's probably going to pick Randy for whatever reason. Yeah. And then in a confessional immediately afterward, Alton says he's as strong as a tank, but he's also as big as one. And I made a note. Is he?
So I brought that up to Hannah later because someone else mentions, well, Randy's the biggest guy on our team. And there's side-by-sides of him standing beside MJ.
Yeah.
And I still don't know how every single person is saying he's bigger than MJ.
I don't
He's
understand.
also not at least from
MJ
his physique,
too.
he doesn't look to be in incredible shape either.
Agreed.
It's weird.
MJ looks like he's like a gladiator compared. He's just huge and just built for athletics.
I mean, this was a recurring theme, how big Randy is. And I sat back and I started thinking, okay, current guys that we watch that we consider big, CT, Fessy, Josh, those are, but Josh is very tall and he's
in a different
thick.
way.
He's tall and he's thick. Those are big guys.
Yes.
I would not put Randy as one of those guys. He seems just like average, maybe a little above average. He's taller.
He's bigger than average because you have some guys like Adam King who are just tiny, and Derek is really small.
That's under average.
Agreed. Underwhelmed.
Right. Underwhelming.
And so, I think Randy's on the bigger side, but I just don't see him as this force that everyone keeps. And maybe the rookies seem to be a really polite team for the most part, other than Keena when she goes into mom mode. And maybe that's just because there's a handful of dailies where he just does not participate. Nothing. They just hold him on the sidelines. But
when it comes to putting a bike together,
that's his shining moment in the whole season.
I had a note from that where he said that this was the first time he felt important to his team.
Probably true.
That says something.
True. Well, before we get to all that, you got to remember that the veteran girls all made cookies for. I don't know if it's just the veteran guys or all the guys.
They just showed the veteron guys eating
them. I think it's just the veteran guys.
Okay, so it's a team
building.
building.
To
they knew
boost morale.
Yeah, you were going into guys' elimination day.
What you missed, because I know you didn't watch the post-credits, was while they were baking, Anissa was on the computer in the kitchen checking something, and all of the other girls just decided to throw eggs at her.
Raw eggs.
I did miss that.
Yeah.
It was great.
I couldn't have made her happy.
They all laughed and stuff.
Team building.
Yeah, it was team building.
So Timmy said he loves the taste of the cookies. Whatever.
He said he tastes the love.
That is right. I just wrote that backwards. Yeah. I have on here Timmy tastes love, but I was like, he loves the taste.
Yeah. No, because they're all eating it, and he's like, you know what I taste? Love.
Which, by the way, another moment that you missed because it's in the post credits of the second episode is it's after the final. Obviously, it's just a compilation of everyone throwing up because they ate so much, and Julie is just like on her knees, just like
letting
going
it out.
And Timmy's just standing beside her, and he's like, "Julie, are you upset with me?" Which is a funny thing.
I like Timmy. Yeah.
So
his timing is good and his delivery is good.
Because in that moment, like you just feel awful,
right?
When you're I hate throwing up more than anything else,
and in the heat too.
Yeah,
and you don't want to talk to anybody.
No,
you don't want to be around people.
And he's like, "Are you upset with me?"
And he's like standing really close to her too.
Have you ever made anybody so upset that they threw up?
No, but I know someone that when they were throwing up didn't make a sound.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
It's actually the opposite,
which is still such a funny story. If you got any friends that don't make a sound when they throw up, hold them close.
Send them to the hospital. Yeah. So we get to the daily called Piece by Piece, and it's raining. And you got to take apart TJ's signature Schwinn bicycle. I didn't remember he was sponsored by Schwinn, but it's been so long since I was in that whole world. But
I'm more of a Mongoose guy.
Yeah, Mongoose was more like the Walmart brand of... That's what we could get.
That's what we could get.
Yeah.
You know?
And so you got to just take it apart, and then another group's got to run down, reassemble it, and then someone has to ride it back, and it's just whoever gets it back. And if it's back but not assembled correctly, you have to go all the way back down and redo it. And so we find out that's when Randy and Jamie used to both work on bikes, so the rookies already have an advantage right there.
Jamie, also someone that Anastasia is more entertaining than.
But I think that's by... I mean...
Probably. I'll give him that. That seems to be by choice.
He lived at a monastery before this.
So he's probably trying to, like, come out of that mindset.
Yeah. And also, apparently, he had been on 2 seasons and MTV forgot, and they put him on the rookies.
Right. I can understand.
Yeah. So, Alton right away won't shut up on the walkie-talkie, and it's making the disassembly team really frustrated. Because Landon's a pretty even-keeled guy. Mm-hmm. And there were multiple times where he's like, he's got to stop talking. Because it's just like, hey, what's going on?
Why not just turn the walkie-talkie off? What do you need him for anyway?
That's
honestly.
A good point.
Seriously, what is the use of the walkie-talkie in this game?
Well, I think that there was a chart, and he could help by like saying, "Hey, look at this."
But if
there was a key somewhere, I saw it.
Yeah, that's probably for the assembly. But for the disassembly, do you really need to talk to anybody about it?
Alan, I think just wanted to be part of the team.
Well,
so they get down. Rookies disassemble first. They run. That's when Randy says he feels important. And then, it just comes down to the rookies just put together and Alton rides back and they win. And, Derek from this point on is really upset.
Well, a little before that, once they first started, the group that was running to the bike to take it apart.
That's what I was getting to.
This was when they first started.
I know, but like it wasn't. I didn't feel like we needed to break down them running. It was just David
didn't run.
Yeah,
and Derek was really upset about that, and he mentioned something along the lines of David should be the one that goes into elimination because of that.
By the way, after we watched both of these episodes, she still doesn't know who David is. They kept saying David, and she's like, I don't know who that is, and I was like, it's been 17 episodes.
You know who Jesse is and not David?
Who's Jesse?
Is that not his name?
Who is Jesse? I don't know who Jesse is.
Is that not on the rookie team? We just talked about him.
Jamie.
Randy?
Oh, Jamie.
Oh.
I only know Jamie because...
of the ponytail.
Because of the ponytail and the monastery.
Yeah.
And he sticks out... there's not any other guys that have long black hair and a ponytail.
I was like, David, sticks out to me. He's got a pretty strong accent, and he wears, that, safari hat a lot. So,
I thought Timmy was the one in the
he has
safari
one too.
hat.
He has one too.
Well, I couldn't tell you if you had a line of the men on this show, I could not pick out David.
Well, that's surprising because this episode was very David centric.
It was very everybody talking about David, but I didn't see a whole lot of David.
Then you just close your eyes the entirety of the deliberation.
They all look the same.
There's the only guys left at this point on the veterans team are Timmy, who you know, Derek, who you know, Mark Long, who you know, and David. So just by process of elimination, you know all of them.
Okay. I almost talked about this on the last couple pods. I don't remember who made the joke about face blindness.
On this season?
No,
just in the world at some point.
In general, we've watched something in the last couple of years where it's like
it's a form of autism.
Where
it is.
where a comedian said that they struggle. Oh, Arrested Development. Tobias struggles with face blindness.
Oh, Chris Derulo.
What?
Is that not his name?
That's Jason Derulo.
What are you talking about? She said Arrested Development. Who's Chris Derulo?
Well, it's Derulo, but it's also not Chris.
It's Jason Derulo.
Okay, I think of Chris DiStefano.
That's it.
The comedian?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We're all over the place.
Anyway, there's like a bit where somebody has face blindness, and that's how I have felt this entire season, because these men look the same.
I will give you, there are a lot of forgettable, especially rookies. Like, there's a guy that went, like, Derek's first guy he sent home. I don't remember who that guy was.
Keena and Cameron.
No, Cameron is blonde and quit. Keena and Kara.
Look.
Kara, sorry, yeah.
Exactly
they do not.
The same.
They do not.
They just look the same.
I think this is the first time we're running into like a group of people that Hannah probably doesn't know 70% of.
Uh-huh.
And like we at least have a familiarity with these people.
We do.
And so, but even then, like some of the early on people, like it was hard keeping track of. You still called Jamie Jesse.
You're right. Yeah.
So anyway, TJ did make fun of Alton's bike riding skills.
It didn't look the greatest.
Yeah. He was like, well, now you have time to practice.
Yeah.
So we get into the deliberation, which the veterans this whole time have done a voting system.
By the way, we went through this era, just one last little tidbit on the daily, where between this, Brink, and an extremely goofy movie, I wanted to be in the X Games.
Every day after school, I was doing an extreme sport.
Like, Brink made rollerblading cool.
Yeah.
Like, freaking cool. And then there was a 3 Extreme on PlayStation.
Yep, which is a race game, but you could punch each other.
I love that game.
Too.
And so, like, I just want, like, skateboarding, I wasn't having it with skateboarding. And so my only hope was biking or rollerblading, to which neither of those panned out. But, I mean, I was asking for rollerblades for Christmas after stuff like this.
See, I probably was the best at rollerblading because as a kid, you don't really understand the mechanics of, like, skateboarding and all that. And so rollerblading, you kind of just hit things and jump.
Yeah. And
so you could kind of figure that out. But we always would ride bikes and skateboard and do everything else. I mean, that's just... Rocket Power was a big part of that.
Rocket Power, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the extreme sports had a heyday in the late 90s, early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And
Rocket Power, the cartoon on Nickelodeon.
That's it.
I used to...
You're reading a Wikipedia article.
I used to watch the crap out of that show.
Yeah, I was all for anything to do with extreme sports. I used to get a VHS tape and video the X Games.
Yes.
Like, record them.
Yeah.
And then there was a thing on ESPN that would come on random called Tony Hawk's Gigantic Skate Park Tour. Mm-hmm. And it was like a documentary-style series where it would just take a bunch of skaters and BMXers and just tour like a band would and just go to different skate parks. And Shaun White was on it when he was 13 and no one knew who he was. Shaun White. And, like, it was awesome. I wish I could find that again because I loved that.
Tony Hawk broke his leg real bad recently.
Yeah, he's 52 or something like that.
When you're that old, it takes longer to heal.
That's true. So, yeah, speaking of Tony Hawk, I had a Tony Hawk, his autobiography when I was in, like, 6th grade. And there's a section in it, spoiler for anyone who's...
So you did read it?
Oh, yeah, I read it for sure. And it's a pretty big book, especially for a 6th grader. And he had a friend who could suck fart.
What?
Where he could, like, use his butt to suck in. And so they made him smoke a cigarette out of his butt. And that, that's the only thing that really stuck out to me in that whole book because I didn't even know that was a possibility before.
Okay.
And he sucked in the smoke and then poofed it back out.
That sounds like something out of a Chuck Palahniuk book.
Now, those I read in high school.
Yeah.
It's not the way you pronounce it, but...
Good try.
Palinkua.
Yeah, Palinkua. So Timmy wants to volunteer himself, but Derek is insistent on a vote because he wants David, but he won't come out and say he wants David.
He wants the rest of the team to vote.
He's just
David.
like, I hope everyone saw how some people didn't perform today or didn't give it their all.
He went really weird about this.
Oh, he broke a table. And it's a tie, and then Katie and Anissa didn't vote, and then they run the vote again, and it's a tie again. And then everyone just starts losing their minds and yelling at each other. And that's when Derek breaks the table. And that's when TJ comes in and he's like, all right, I got to have an answer. And Derek's just like, whichever one of you guys is going to do it. And that's when Timmy's like, I'll do it.
Because he tried to volunteer earlier.
People were in tears over this.
Yeah.
Like,
this is a very emotional thing. So TJ's like, Derek, I'm going to let you spin the wheel. I don't want your blood on my hands, basically, if it lands on something you don't want. And I swore it's going to land on Captain's Choice, but it landed on Reverse Tug of War. Which, by the way, well, I'll get to in a second. I don't know if you noticed when everyone was walking out, a handful of people had jerseys on that they had to use gaff tape on. Mm-hmm. One was the Steelers, for sure.
That was Timmy.
Mm-hmm. And then, I just lost her name. Not Sarah. What's the other one?
Susie?
Susie, yeah. Susie had on a Pirates jersey, Pittsburgh again, but she had all the letters marked out except 8. ATE.
Okay.
What does that mean?
I'm not sure, but she was wearing it has to be one of Timmy's jerseys, right? Because who else is going to have Pittsburgh
Maybe
jerseys?
she got eaten.
Maybe she did. Maybe she likes... Never mind. I'm not going to say that.
Maybe it's supposed to mean ate.
What does that mean?
I think it's it's like a nickname.
Okay.
Hold on.
After the gaff tape jerseys, we get a whole highlight package of Derek's previous eliminations, and then it ends up with a to be continued. I think that's the first to be continued of the season. Mm-hmm. Is that right? I think so.
Ate is in reference to an older female relative, like an older sister.
In what?
In Tagalog.
Okay, well that's Jake and I are not up to date on Tagalog.
I almost said older sister, but I couldn't remember for sure.
And then the girls all egg Anissa in the kitchen. Okay, since you missed that. So
have you ever egged somebody before?
No.
Have you ever been egged?
No.
You're not.
I know. One time you got an egg smashed on your head at a youth pastor's house.
That's probably right.
And you lost your mind.
Did I?
You did.
That sounds right.
You were so upset.
That sounds right.
It's probably when I was like going through.
You were like probably 14 or 13, maybe.
Was I going through my little scene kid phase yet?
I think you just started.
All right. Well, then that's probably true then, because I would spend 45 minutes to an hour fixing my hair.
Yeah, I remember you hit it like on your forehead, and you just started yelling. And you're like, yeah, it's real freaking funny.
Yeah, because I was very particular about my hair, and so like having an egg in my hair, it's like now it's ruined. So
that's like 45 minutes of your life you'll never get back.
That definitely happened, and I acted as if I was going to get some sort of girls.
There was no
of
girls
it.
there. There was no.
Well, and it wasn't going to happen anyway. It didn't happen. I mean, my entirety of middle school and high school, I dated one girl, I think, for about 2 months. So,
pretty good.
So, I wouldn't have dated me. I wouldn't have kissed me. I wouldn't have went out with me. I wouldn't have. Look, like I was a weirdo. There are videos that my brothers have found. My dad and stepmom have these home videos.
Oh, well, it doesn't help that your dad is kind of into photography and videography, so it probably does have an archive.
And I just talk like this all the time. And it's like, did I do that?
I don't remember that.
Did I do that?
Have to see these.
It's unbeirable.
I have
legitimately,
to.
It's
Jake.
My step. It was like Christmas of like 2005, 2006, which I'd have been like 15, 16. And I was still in my scene kid phase. And she'd be like, Jake, say hi to the camera. And I went, hi. It was like,
to me, I bet you're like, I really don't want to, stepmother.
Oh God,
Okay.
it's bad. And I'm just I'm just a lord. I'm just.
My birthday's coming up. This is what I want for my birthday. I want these videos.
Zach's our tech guy. I'm sure he can rip it off of these things and.
He just pointed at the computer. Timmy wins pretty easily. I mean, he's got to be, 4 or 5 inches taller, and at least 20 pounds bigger, if not more.
I figured he was a lot taller than that.
Well, I mean, Derek's not 5'4".
But Timmy's tall.
Yeah, but he's not a freak. No offense to anyone who's taller than whatever that math would be out to be.
You know what? Honestly, seeing as how this final went, if I'm Derek, I'm all right with having gone home. Like, if I watched this back when it came on,
he feels justified.
It's like,
yeah,
I'm glad I went. Like, I'd rather go home. If it's me, I'd rather go home than over that stupid final.
But I did say it's partially Derek's fault he went home because he didn't just outright choose Timmy when they were begging him, hey, you're the captain, pick one of them.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do it.
He wanted somebody else to do it for him.
So,
but to give him the outcome that he wanted to have.
Yeah, so that's when I was like, man, everyone is so emotional. And not even like teammates, like
the rookie girls
team were like losing it.
The rookie girls all hugged him and cried and said, I love you.
Yeah, it is strange.
And then as he was leaving, they have to go back to the house. He gets a round of applause from everybody in the house before he walks out.
I mean, he did have like a really great run of eliminations and stuff. But what's funny is like when he first came into being the captain, they were like, oh, he's power hungry. We can't stand him.
Mm-hmm.
And, that goes to show you can turn things around.
Right.
So, Derek's parting words were no pain, no gain.
Okay.
Which I'm not 100% sure what that applies to, but I've seen it on some T-shirts before.
You have a shirt that says "Welcome to the Pain Train."
Welcome to the Pain Train.
Yeah.
No, I have my Tonka shirt on today.
That's true.
Because we're built Ford tough.
Do you have Tonka trucks at home?
I think
no.
Tonka's a different brand. Though.
We used to play. Probably got some Ford trucks though.
What now?
Tonka.
You said Ford.
Ford trucks. They probably got some little. Like little Hot Wheels, right?
I think Tonka is a brand, though.
It is a brand.
It's a brand of like the little plastic.
Yeah, I didn't know
construction.
I didn't know if they license stuff like that. I don't know.
No,
I'm not really gotten too far into. That
Zach
world.
used to have a Ford truck.
I did. I miss it.
He sold it last year.
Well, I'm channeling a tough spirit for our match tonight.
Got it.
We're Tonka tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a
built Tonka.
I don't have a Tonka
tough
shirt.
This was thrifted, so
okay.
You'd be hard pressed to find one, probably.
So this isn't really a big anything, but I just wrote, their last meal before the final is pizza. It seems, which I don't know if that's what you want the night before going into. Well, who knows?
I don't know. Most of these people have been smoking cigarettes the whole season, so
yeah, and drinking at the eliminations.
I don't know that it really matters too much.
So I don't know if Timmy had just held on to this gigantic pair of underwear the whole time and thought this is the moment to pull it out. But he's like, oh, somebody left Beth's underpants here. And they're just gigantic tighty-whities. I don't know if those were his or he found them or... I mean, they're clearly not Beth's.
Maybe he packed them for like a party. Because, they have like weird dress-up parties and stuff.
He would have fallen out of those.
Yeah.
Those are so big. You could have got 2 people in them.
That's the thing. Like, if he wanted to be in one leg hole and have somebody else in the other leg hole, it'd be like twins.
Do you know what twins look like? They don't share underwear. I guess maybe conjoined twins too.
I've never had a twin.
Yeah. Yeah, good. No one was saying otherwise. So we get to Bet Your Booty, which is the final. God. And Hannah was like, oh, wait, are they doing another daily? And I was like, no. I was like, I think this is the final.
Well, they said, welcome to the final challenge. And it sounded like it was the final daily challenge. And I was like, what? They didn't say, welcome to the final.
Yeah, I think this was the era before they start saying the final is like its own thing. So, basically, there's 3 rounds. Round 1 is to eat 12 pounds of roadie. Round 2 is pirate memory, which is just a game of memory, but pirate themed, I guess. And then round 3 is sand sprints. And you can only compete in one competition, but you can put as many or as few people on each round as you want. and then you have $250 or 250 coins for betting purposes, and you can bet your money on what you think you'll do the best at. And they did the complete opposite strategies of each other, the rookie team and the veterans team. Basically, both said we're only going to put one coin on the memory game. But the rookies actually had 2 players put to that. It was Susie and someone else. And the vets went all in, betting 248 coins on eating the 12 pounds of roadie and put 5 players on it. The rookies bet 1 coin but put 4 players on it. And so I do understand the veteran strategy in this, because if you do win this, you just have won more than likely. The thing is, Julie's the one who convinces them to do it, and then we find out that the first team that throws up automatically loses, and then it's just the first team who finishes swallows everything. And so the rookies have 4 players, the veterans have 5 players, and it comes down to the wire. Like it comes down to, like, they don't know who won, because at first they declare the veterans the winner, and then MJ and Keena, there's that mom mentality coming. It actually did help in this situation.
You got to fight for your kids.
Yeah, she's saying they have food in their mouths, and Robin and Julie both clearly did, and so they have to check the tape. Well, the tape is literally just the little viewfinder on the side of the camera that they're doing. And TJ watches it, and he's like, yeah, they clearly have food, and the rookies have been done for like 15 seconds. And so he's like, all right, rookies win that round, so they have 200 and whatever coins now, and the veterans have 0, I think. And so basically the veterans would have to win a race between Anissa and Alton, Landon, and MJ. And
she said it's not possible.
I mean,
she's right. So they just quit. They just quit the final. And they don't even try. They don't do the memory game. We don't even know what that looked like. I didn't even see did they even show what it was? Mm-mm. And so they just quit. And they're like, congratulations, rookies. You guys win. Which, I mean, they did win the first round, but it's a very flawed execution of a final.
This was a major letdown. Like, I feel like all the work that they put in throughout the whole season, and this was it.
Well, I asked Hannah at one point, because she just wasn't, like, writing anything, and I was like, you're not paying attention? And she's just like, I just don't know how to play poker. And I was like, they're not literally playing poker. They're just, like, using it metaphorically.
They said over and over and over, this is poker, this is poker.
They're like, yeah, because we're going to bet on all in on this. I was like, they're not actually playing poker.
And I was like, I've never played poker because I don't understand it. So they keep saying they're playing poker. I know that I don't understand it.
Which, by the way, going back to the mid-2000s, we used to play poker a lot.
Now my game is spades.
I like spades still.
You know how to play spades?
Yeah.
We need to get in, like, spades tourneys.
Okay.
I love playing spades, man.
So my immediate family on my mom's side play spades, but with dominoes, which is kind of confusing at first. But
they call it 42.
Yeah, it's actually really fun once you kind of get the hang of it. But I learned how to play that pretty easily because I knew how to play spades. Yeah, the veterans quit. Rookies get $240,000 split between them. There's 10 of them, so they get $24,000 before taxes, which probably means they get like $18,000 after taxes.
Yeah,
and Keena got up in the camera and she called herself a rich bitch, and I was like, "Are you?"
Hey, bub, I'd take $18,000 deposited into the account
2006 or whatever.
I mean, I would too. $18,000
or whatever, 8 weeks of work.
You could. You could get a new car, but $18,000 compared to what they get now.
It also was a team season, so that's why the money was real low. Just because when you do the team splits, like it's just. I mean, now you can win $500,000 just one person.
Yeah,
and
that's life-changing money.
Yeah, so
weddings are expensive.
Yeah, I told you not to have one.
Well, it's on the table. Not because we won't get married.
I told you they're too expensive. You're like, you know what? It's off.
Can't do it.
So they did a big emotional recap in this episode, and it's probably because they didn't have anything else left to film because the other team just quit.
They had to fill time
and so they
somehow.
had to be like, we got to do a like in remembrance of the season with like emotional music, and then they just in the post credits everyone just throws up.
It was really gross because I was eating.
What a way to end the season.
Yeah.
I definitely have not watched this season in its entirety. I think I watched probably about half of it, and then without a DVR or whatever, probably just missed episodes and never caught up. I know I watched a handful of it back in the day, but
I'm sure you can tell you didn't miss a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, I knew going in the rookies won just because, like, I know Susie's never lost, in a final. Like, just little things like that have kind of tipped the hand. I know, like, Landon has only lost once. And so, like, I was like, the rookies are going to win. But I did not expect it to be a final, like, so disproportionate that the veterans just gave up. And so that's what we're dealing with here. Honestly, I mean, we're at 36 minutes or whatever. There's nothing else to talk about with this season. A lot of people did want us to watch the reunion, and I was like, probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
We saw probably the best thing from it, which is the Cyrus and TJ thing.
Right.
And I had already forgotten about it.
You probably don't even remember who TJ is. Any final thoughts on these episodes, the final, anything like that?
Out of all of the Whelms, I was very under.
Yeah, if I had to pick over Whelm under, I'm in the under category.
Yeah. Not the most lively season, I would say, and especially with it being capped off like that.
Yeah, it did kind of fizzle out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a fun group, and earlier on you had a lot more like into like drama and things like that, but just the format of a half hour, like there's just nothing. Like it's like, here's 2 minutes of in the house, here's the daily, immediately into deliberation, and immediately from deliberation into the elimination. And so, there's not a lot to go off in all of that. I don't think that an hour and a half current format is the way to go either. I think the hour is the sweet spot.
That's the sweet spot.
Agree.
And you get a daily and an elimination in every episode. I've not heard anyone argue against that. So, who? Let's get out the final superlatives for this season. Who smashed some heads?
You're doing it backwards.
Who got their head smashed?
Who got their head smashed? The vets.
I'm gonna go Timmy because he won that last elimination and had to be a part of that final.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Oh, he did have to eat and make himself throw up.
Yeah.
Derek's in a better position.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Randy, just cause even he said that this is the first time he felt useful was in this next to last episode. So congratulations.
Speaks volumes.
So who smashed some heads?
Negatively, Julie smashed the vets' heads because everybody pretty much came to the conclusion it was Julie's fault that they lost that first.
It wasn't a flawed strategy, though, in Julie's defense. Because the rookies did the exact same thing, but just on the race.
Yeah.
It's just you're going all in on one thing, and you're hoping we've got 5, they've got 4.
No, but what I'm saying is they cleared off their plates of the roadie at the same time. Both teams did. But, everybody was saying, the guys had it right. Even if you had food in your mouth, turn away from the camera and then swallow it. But Julie turned to the camera with chipmunk cheeks. Yeah. And so they're all like, it's Julie's fault because she didn't turn away.
And Robin did as well, but Julie on the replay definitely had more.
Julie was the one they highlighted. They did like a little fade thing.
Jake, you don't know this. Our niece, how old is she now? 7?
Yes.
I don't know if she does it anymore, but
she still does it.
She used to, when we'd be like eating dinner or whatever, would just store food in her cheeks and then just keep it there.
And you wouldn't know
for like hours.
Her cheeks are so big that you couldn't tell. They did that one time. They went to London and they had breakfast like an early lunch, and then like 6 hours later went to have some kind of dessert, and she like pulled like a green bean or something out of her mouth, and Zach's mom was like, "Is that from lunch?" And she's like, "Yeah." And it had been like 6 or 7 hours. It'd just been sitting in her cheeks.
Which to me is disgusting.
You gotta do what you can to get by these days.
Well, she's fine. She's not trying to get by.
No, she would leave food in her cheeks and then eat other stuff and then eat the food from her cheeks later.
Yeah, it's just like saving it for a little snack down the road.
It's the grossest thing, but it's so funny.
You gotta give her props for, being innovative, though.
Because when you're a kid,
she's
you
good
can't
at
just
it.
get whatever you want whenever you want.
Yeah.
Like, as an adult, you're like, oh, I want this, go get it. As a kid, you're like, I never know when I'm going to eat again.
But the thing is, those kids, they eat all the time. Like, if they're hungry, they get a snack.
Yeah, but it's also like, oh, you're hungry, you can have some peppers. Like,
They
it's very healthy snacks.
they like fresh.
I can't just eat
fresh bell peppers.
Fresh bell
They
peppers.
love it.
Who Smash Smiths? I don't think I asked you yet.
You know what? We'll give it to Alton because it's a theoretical smashing of the heads because maybe he learned how to ride a bike properly from this.
Hey, that could be
Yeah.
true. It's hard for me on this one because, like, I think we talked a few weeks ago, like, to us, Abyss has never done anything, like, memorable, right?
Oh, I forgot she was on this.
Yeah, there you go. And in our Slack group, Statman Paul essentially was like, Abyss carried this final. She ate when no one else would. And I was like, I'm watching it today, and I was like, how do you take that out of this situation? I was like, they all look like they ate the same.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you're going to say that, then Jody and whoever else ate just as much. So I still think Abyss is not... I can't give it to her.
Okay.
This was her only chance.
Okay.
She's never going to get it. And I got to give it to... At the end of the day, Keena was the captain.
Mama Keena.
Had that mom energy who helped call out the other team. And at one point, she won a Nintendo DS while standing in the ocean.
That's right.
That is right.
So I'll give it to her.
And that was when we found out girls can game.
No, I knew that. That was Jake.
Girls can Nintendo DS.
I didn't say I couldn't game. I just said I used to think all the girls that did game were hot.
Yeah, but then we talked about this,
but
and then it turned out the only one out of the group of us who had a Nintendo DS was Hannah.
The girl.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, I don't know.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah.
So
maybe she's born with it.
We are done with the Gauntlet 2. We have All-Stars 3 coming out soon, which we're all very excited for. But before all that, Jake and I have a tennis tournament. Point at me.
So have a good night, everyone.
All right, that's a way to end. Way to wrap the season up.
I thought you were doing it. Okay. Have a good night, everyone.